Yes, welcome back to Sports and Sorts. This is episode 97, and my name is Shane Moore. And you can find me on Twitter. Where are you at, Bri Man?
You didn't even say your Twitter handle.
Oh, who cares? You can find me on Twitter at @IronHornetsFinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bri_Man.
I got too much stuff going on here, man. I got too much stuff. Too much stuff. Well, you can find the show anywhere podcasts are played, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Just search Sports and Sorts, or you can head over to our website, which is www.sportsandsorts.libsyn. That's LIBSYN.com. But currently, you are watching the show live, obviously, because there's, all sorts of craziness going on.
Obviously.
And our
we'll do it live!
And you can find us live on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man. So post your questions or topics or rants or anything in the comments, and we should see them. If we like them, we'll put them on the show. Or you can send your questions or rants to shaneandthebryman@gmail.com. And what do we have on the show today? What we have on the show today is Manny Machado. The Bri Man has 6 reasons why the Yankees should not trade for him. We're also going to be talking Melo possibly going to the Rockets. And is that a good thing or a bad thing for the Rockets? And then there's some news out there about Shady McCoy, LeSean McCoy living up to his name, Shady, because what's going on right now is absolutely insane.
It's beyond shady. It might be criminal.
It's not looking so good for him.
It's not what you want.
For him and all the people that are kind of surrounded by him. So we will be talking about that, and we got a great show today. So let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof.
So, State of the Yankees is today. I don't know if this is really the state of the Yankees, although Manny Machado last night made a case for him to be a Yankee. But the Bri Man said that he has 6 reasons why he should not be a New York Yankee this year via trade. I'm not sure if he thinks about this as the long haul, with the free agency coming up. But as of right now, he has 6 reasons. I want to hear these 6 reasons. So what do you got, Brian?
The 6 reasons actually do incorporate, it's not just this year. It actually is long-term.
Okay.
But let's start with number 1. Right off the bat, he's made it very clear that he's not willing to switch positions. And guess what? The Yankees have a shortstop. His name is Didi Gregorius, and he's the heart and soul of this Yankees team. So right off the bat, it's not even a position of need, okay? He's not willing to switch to another position. And honestly, even if he was willing to switch, this is reason number 2, by the way, even if he was willing to go back to, let's say, third base, well, the Yankees also have a guy there. His name is Miguel Andujar. And aside from the fact that Miguel Andujar is having a very good year offensively, obviously he's still working out some of the kinks defensively. I think he committed his 6th error last night. And, that probably puts him on pace to have between 10 and 12 errors for the year. But I could give you about 300 million reasons why you don't need to replace Miguel Andujar with Manny Machado. But it's irrelevant.
I would like all 300 million.
I'm sure you would. But let's be honest, it's it's completely irrelevant because, again, see reason number one. He's not willing to switch positions. So that one's kind of ridiculous anyway because he's making it very, very clear that he does not want to go back to being a third baseman. So the Yankees on the left side of the infield have no place for him right now. They just don't. So here's number three. Even if you have a place for him in the future, why would you trade prospects? Probably names like, well, first of all, I would imagine any deal involving him would involve Andahar. I would imagine that Andahar would have to be part of it because the Orioles are going to need a position player back of some kind.
Or Didi and other prospects.
But if you have a place, even if you had a place for him in the future, why would you trade guys that you covet now for him when you could just wait until next year and get him for nothing except for money and not have to give up any prospects? It just doesn't make any sense. It just makes no sense. There are so many reasons, well, 6 specifically, why this doesn't make sense. But that's another one because the financial you could, and then here's the other thing too. You do run the risk, even if you traded for him now and gave up valuable prospects to get him, you do run the risk of him still going into free agency, not signing a long-term deal with the Yankees, and then you better hope to God that you won the World Series with him. Because if you didn't and he walks and you gave up prospects, it's pretty much it would be, I don't know if you want to call it similar to what happened with, the Yankees and the Cubs with Chapman and Gleyber Torres, where the Yankees traded Chapman, got Torres back, and then got Chapman back, except the only difference there is the Cubs would make that trade again because they won the World Series. So that was one that actually worked out for both sides. Chances are, and this is another reason, so I don't want to spoil it, but we'll get into this one in a few seconds. But number 4, speaking of money, okay, why would you dedicate very, very valuable resources, especially in this luxury cap era that we're now living in, especially with the Yankees who are really desperately trying to stay under it? But why would you dedicate valuable resources that you're going to need next year for pitching on a position player that you do not need now or will not need then? Because keep in mind, again, I'm going to use this left side of the Yankees infield because that's really where Manny Machado is going to slot. But really, he's made it so clear that he only wants to play shortstop. But Didi is 26 years old? He's 26 or 27, I think, something like that. He's not a kid. He's a veteran, but he's a young veteran. So from an age perspective, what's the point? I mean, you're not slotting in a young guy for an older veteran. You're slotting in a young guy for an equally younger player. And you just don't need – by every definition, this move would be sheer gluttony because there's just not a need there on that left side of the infield. In one case, you got Miguel Andahar, who's 23, over at third base. Mm-hmm. And by the looks of it, I think it's fairly obvious at this point we are more than halfway through the season here in terms of games played. It's obvious that Miguel Andahar can hit at this level. So there's really no – I mean, is he going to put up Manny Machado numbers? No, probably not. But there's very few people who put up those kind of numbers. But that doesn't mean just because Manny Machado puts up these huge numbers that you need to have him on your team to replace guys who are already holding their own weight offensively and, especially in Didi's case, defensively. But really the big point here is if you're going to try now and in the future to stay under this luxury tax threshold, why would you use $300 million? Because that's what it's going to cost, especially now. This isn't like one of those Bryce Harper question marks, whereas is he $400 million or isn't he? Manny Machado is going to get $300 million from somebody. Look at the year he's having. He is having an MVP caliber year for a team that's 40 games under 500. It's a miracle anybody even pitches to him right now. And he's hitting, what has he got, 20-something home runs, 60-plus RBIs. He's hitting over 300. He's getting $300 million. Now, I don't think there's any question about it. He's getting that money. So if you're the Yankees, is that the best use of your money right now when you know going into next year you're going to need pitching? You're going to need pitching. Even if CeCe sticks around for another year and he starts doing the Andy Pettitte 1 year at a time thing. Mm-hmm. how much can you really – I mean, look, it's great what CC has done. He has completely reinvented himself. But if you're expecting CC to keep getting better or maintaining where he's at right now, you've got another thing coming. That's not going to happen. He is slowly going to break down, maybe even quickly break down, especially given his size and his weight. So you need pitching next year. You need to be going after starting pitching in free agency. And the best part is that there's not a starting pitcher available, unless Clayton Kershaw actually is a realistic option for the Yankees. There's not a starting pitcher available that's going to cost you anywhere near $300 million. But I guarantee you that whatever guy you get there is going to have more of an impact on this team than Manny Machado would. So that's reason number 4. Reason number 5, this one I think you'll appreciate. His hero is Alex Rodriguez. Do we really want that guy on our team?
I think that's all you need to say for number 5.
That's all I need to say. That's all for number 5. Number 6. He's not helping them win the World Series this year. If you put him on this team this year, okay, and so that means that somebody, whether it's Didi or Andahar, one of them is out of the lineup. I mean, you can't have 10 guys in your lineup, okay? Mm-hmm. So somebody moves out. He's not helping them win the World Series this year. The Yankees' biggest flaw, and we know it because we've seen it the last few days, and the fact that they can't beat the friggin' Orioles, who are 40 games under 500 and playing for absolutely nothing. And the Yankees at best today are going to walk out of here with a split. And to be honest, they're probably going to lose 3 or 4 because guess who's on the mound today? Sonny Gray. So they're probably losing 3 or 4 today. What you need, if you want to win the World Series this year, the Yankees need a starting pitcher. It's either going to have to be Cole Hamels or somebody of that ilk, somebody who has pitched in a big game and who is capable of winning a game in October. I don't think that person is J-Hap. I think it's Cole Hamels. I think it's, then you're starting to go up into more upper echelon guys like a Mad Bum, but that's probably not going to happen. The Yankees need help in the rotation. Their lineup is fine. They can hit. Okay, when they get Glaber back, and I think I don't think it's any coincidence that they've only been kind of roughly playing 500 balls since Glaber's been out of the lineup. He's a big part of this lineup. Mm-hmm. You get him back, it's a shot in the arm for them going into the second half. And luckily, he's trending towards getting back just after the All-Star break. He's doing well. He's already hitting off a tee. Glaber's going to be okay. So they'll have him back ready for the second half of the season. Of course, unfortunately, at that point, they could be 7 games out of first place, but, who knows? But bottom line, so those are really the 6 reasons. There's just – and look, on top of it, as an overall thing, it's just gluttonous. It really is. And from a feel perspective, these are, to me, the kind of things that the Yankees should be trying to get away from. That's what actually made the Yankees, even if you were a non-Yankee fan last year, that's actually what made them likable last year. They were doing it with all these kids. And don't you want to see that through? I want to see that through. I don't need Manny Machado. I really don't. I don't want the Yankees to pursue him in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's part of the reason, too, why Yankee fans, especially the ones that call into radio programs in New York City, get such a bad reputation because the Yankee fans were so spoiled by the fact that we've won so much. And we are gluttonous in the sense that it's sort of like World Series or bust. But at some point, you have to kind of look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, at what cost? If not just financially, but from the heart to the heart and soul of the team. You add a guy like Manny Machado, that means you're saying goodbye to a guy like Didi Gregorius. And for me, I think Didi is the heart and soul of this team. That's not acceptable to me.
Okay.
What do you?
Well, I mean, I do think that if they did acquire Manny Machado this year, I think that would put them as the absolute favorite for winning the World Series this year, because I do think having a bat like that in there with Judge and Stanton and everybody else, I think it would be huge. Do I think it's necessary? I don't think it's necessary. It's one of those things that, yes, it's like kind of like just being gluttonous, like, oh, yeah, we can get him, so why not get him a year early? He's probably going to sign with us, so it's a good chance that we could get him next year, but we're just kind of putting everything ahead of schedule.
But even if you get him next year, where's he going?
What do you mean?
Is he going to be the shortstop?
Absolutely, yes.
So where's Didi going?
He's going to be gone.
Didi's going to be gone. And is this a trade? Is this a trade you're willing to make?
Yeah. Because he disagree on that. He's a Hall of Fame player, and Didi is a nice player. I think he's an above-average shortstop defensively, and I think he is at times he's clutch, but he's not a great hitter. He's an okay offensive player. But the thing that he's great with is he's a great clubhouse guy. Everybody loves him. The media, the fans. And
I think that means something. And as a Yankee fan, that means something to me.
Todd Frazier was that guy too. They had no problem parting with him to bring up Miguel Andujar.
Not a good example. Todd Frazier struck out a ton.
Yeah.
Todd Frazier gave us the thumbs down, and that was it. He struck out a ton.
Everybody loved him.
That did not hurt.
Everybody loved him.
Yeah, I think the players liked him more, but I think from a fan perspective, that was one that you were willing to let go of.
But he's a good clubhouse guy, is what I'm trying to say, is that the clubhouse thing is not as big of a deal when you're winning, because everybody's a clubhouse guy when you're winning. So that's kind of where I fall on that. But I did post a poll out about this last night on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Shane and Bri Man. Shane and Bri Man on Twitter. That's where we're at. And the poll said, should the Yankees trade for Manny Machado? And there was 48 votes, and 54% of the votes went to yes, 46% of the votes went no. But my favorite one, there was somebody commented on it. This is Broken Matt Pierce. I'm not sure who that is, but he is at MPierce6. And he just wrote, quite simply.
He's clearly a wrestling fan, by the way.
He said, why not? Everyone already hates them anyway. So I don't know if everybody hates the Yankees as much as they used to, but I thought that was
say the same thing about the Red Sox.
I thought that was pretty funny. But as of right now, I do think that I think it'd be not foolish, but I think it would be kind of. There are many reasons why the Manny Machado addition to the Yankees this year would make them more of a favorite to win the World Series. Like, I think in Vegas, you'd see that number go down where they are the most likely to win the World Series if they got him. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm 100% that they need pitching. They have so many prospects that something's going to have to get shaken up anyway. So why not unload some of those prospects to get a possible Hall of Fame player? I don't know.
Well, we disagree on that mightily because I don't think his addition means anything to them in terms of winning a World Series. I actually think a guy like Cole Hamels moves the needle more for them than a Manny Machado would.
I think both
based on the position.
Yeah. I mean, possibly. I mean, that's the thing is like who do we trade for him? I mean, would I be okay with them trading Miguel Andujar? No, I'd rather have Miguel Andujar play third. The problem is that he's just he has shown that he's not a great defensive player.
Let's put it this way: last year, the Yankees got to Game 7 of the American League Championship Series, and they did it without Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup. This year, Giancarlo Stanton is in the lineup. Okay,
but he's a strikeout maniac.
So in other words, though,
that's just going to happen even more.
You can say whatever you want about him striking out. The guy still has 22 home runs and over 50 RBIs, and he's going to finish with 40 and 100 plus. But that was not in their lineup last year. The point is, they can make the World Series with their lineup as currently constituted because they almost did it last year without a guy like him in it. Right. You need a pitcher if they want to win the World Series this year. Get Cole Hamels. End of story.
I am in agreement with you. I am a big Cole Hamels guy. We have talked about that on numerous occasions. Big Cole Hamels guy. But when you have big strikeout guys, those big strikeout guys turn into extreme strikeout guys in the postseason because every pitch is much more important. But yes, I'm in agreement with you. I think that pitching is the biggest necessity right now. But I'd be fine if they got Manny Machado because I think that him and the Red Sox are also looking at Machado. I don't know if they have enough to get him.
I think that's all smokes. They don't have the chips to get him.
I guess it all depends on
what. Be the first person to tell you that they don't have the chip. They would have to trade somebody big from their current roster. I think.
Yeah. And I think they'd probably be willing to do that. I think they would be willing to part with Xander Bogaerts. I think they'd be willing to part with.
I think more than Xander Bogaerts.
Well, yeah, but then they have that one chip in the minors. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but they have one chip in the minors.
I think it's Chavez, right?
And they could add somebody else into the mix too. They could. Depends on what they're going to have to give away some stuff. They might have to get rid of Rodriguez.
Look, to get a guy like that, it has to hurt. But we talk about that all the time. It's got to hurt.
It doesn't hurt as much because he doesn't have any control after this year.
No,
so it doesn't hurt quite as much. I mean, they're going to have to pay a lot because he's a great player. but it's not going to be quite as much, I think, as a lot of people are thinking, because there is no control after this year. And he's purely a rental, except for the Yankees, which I think is the reason why the Yankees would have to pay a little bit more, because the Orioles know he's going to be in a Yankee uniform next year. And then if they get him, and especially if they win a World Series, that's going to be, he is definitely coming back to the Yankees after that. I can't see it not happening if he wins a World Series with the Yankees. I don't know. But all right, we're going to move on to the next topic, and we'll get onto that in 1 second.
You are listening to Sports and Swords with Shane and the Bri Man.
All right, next topic up is let's talk about basketball. All right, so Melo, CP3 actually came out and had been kind of saying, we want Melo. We need Melo on our team. He's been given the rights to go from OKC. They've given them rights to basically go and talk to other teams. He's talked to the Heat and he's talked to the Thunder. The Heat and the Rockets. Those are the two teams that he's talked to. And with the loss of Trevor Ariza for the Rockets, the loss of Luke Mbamute, those two guys were very key in getting them to the position that they were in last year, which ended up taking the Western Conference Finals. Now, the reason why they were so important was because they were good at shooting the three, for the most part. They weren't great, but they were decent shooting the three. And they were, I would say, above average to good defenders. As particularly with Trevor Ariza. He's long, he's like 6'8", he's got long arms, he could cover the likes of Durant, he could cover the likes of LeBron, he can cover those big name players. Now, one thing that we all know about Carmelo Anthony, what's his biggest negative as a basketball player? His defense. He cannot play defense. He puts no effort, zero effort whatsoever into defense. Now, because of those two losses with Trevor Ariza and Mbamute, that puts him in quite the predicament. Like, I think that the Rockets are absolutely 100% going to try and land Carmelo because, for one, CP3 wants him. So I think that because they're buddies, he might be able to get a little bit more out of him. Mike D'Antoni and Carmelo had a relationship in New York. Now, that relationship wasn't very good. I think that this is going to play out a little bit better in Houston, mainly because of their ISO system. They are very much an ISO team, and Carmelo is an ISO guy. So I think it's different. The system that they were trying to implement in New York and the system that they are trying to implement in Houston are two very different systems. I think this system fits. Mike D'Antoni came out and said that. And I think that with this setup, it's possibly a good fit, but I don't think that this improves their team unless Carmelo can exponentially get better at shooting the three. And he puts some effort in on defense. Because as of right now,
you're asking a 40-year-old guy to get better at shooting a three at this stage in his career. I don't know.
He's 35. He's younger than both of us.
That's not saying much.
So anyway, with Melo, he had a down year last year. I think it's a career low in points, career low in shooting percentage, career low. Now, probably wasn't the career low in 3-point percentage, but if he can up his 3-point percentage to 40%, which he will get more open shots with the Rockets, because with CP3, he is not a ball dominant, as far as he is willing to pass to the open guy. He is not looking to score 28 points a game, 25 points a game like Russell Westbrook is. Russell Westbrook is go, 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 gun to the basket. The Rockets are going to pass and get him more open shots. That could lead to a higher shooting percentage from three. That's all we really need from Melo, is a higher shooting percentage, because even Ariza and Mbamute, they both shot around 36% from three. And that is what Melo shot from three last year. We need him to shoot over 40%. And he played 32 minutes a game. He's probably going to play that about that much. He's going to get a little bit of defensive break, because I think he'll probably be playing the 4 spot. And then also having that big guy, as long as they can sign him, I think they will, Clint Capella. As long as they can get him, I think we're all set. Because unfortunately, this is the big problem with the Rockets is that you have Chris Paul, who signed a huge deal, and Clint Capella is asking for a huge deal, whereas you have the Golden State Warriors, who everybody's taking deals that will be less money than they should be getting paid. They're being less greedy, whereas the Rockets are being more greedy, which is going to make this team not last as long as, the Golden State Warriors. So I think the only chance that they have after the losses of Ariza and Mbamute, I think that the only chance that they have to get back to the Western Conference Finals and possibly go to the NBA Finals is with the addition of Melo. I just don't think it's going to work out. I think that this is, I just can't, I have to go with all of his past, everything that's happened in the past where he is all about himself. He's not going to get much better from three. He's going to be whiny and pissy as time goes on. So I have a feeling that, this right here is kind of like the end of that run for the Rockets. I think that this year was it, and next year is going to be difficult. But I do feel like if he puts in a defensive effort and he gets a little better from three, then you can watch it. This team will be good for next year.
I think the question that I have is what if you're the Rockets, how do you see Carmelo Anthony in the overall scheme of your team? Like, are you looking at him as the guy that completes your quote-unquote big three, or are you looking at him as a role player? Because when I hear a 35-year-old Carmelo Anthony maybe going to Houston, all I think is, okay, they got themselves a role player who could score 16 points a game at this point in his career. But beyond that, is this the move that's getting you past Golden State? Because let's be honest, we're not. If you're the Rockets, getting back to the Western Conference Finals is not the step you're looking for. You're looking beyond that. You're looking to get to the NBA Finals and then beat whatever weak Eastern Conference team comes out of there that you could probably take. And I just look at this and I say, okay, so the Rockets, whose biggest deficiency, at least in terms of how you would sort of see it if you pull the lens back, you say, well, the biggest issue with this team is they don't play a lot of defense. Well, you just got the one guy in the league.
They did last year. They picked it up last year.
Better defensively last year.
Because of CP3. And Trevor Ariza.
Yes.
And Mbamute.
Yes. And I still do believe that the Rockets would have gotten to and won the NBA Finals had Chris Paul played in Game 7, but he didn't. I don't know. Like, I look at this move and I'm just kind of like, oh, this is an aging veteran, a once really good, prolific scorer, but an aging veteran who's now kind of going to Houston to become more of a role player than anything else.
Yeah.
That's how I see this move. Is this the move that gets the Rockets from the Western Conference Finals into the NBA Finals? In my opinion, no.
Yeah. As of right now, I think they're going to have a hard time getting past the Lakers. I do think that the LeBron James.
Still think they're better than the Lakers.
I think people are underestimating the Lakers a little bit here. I am right now expecting the Lakers to be in the Western Conference Finals, and I actually think they need another guy.
I think they're at best the third best team.
They
in the
need
West.
another guy, but I think that they, as of right now, have leaped over the Rockets and are now the second best team in the West. And I think if they get that other guy, I think that they will absolutely beat the Golden State Warriors, because I think actually the Golden State Warriors got worse from this year to next year, this coming year. Because I think that Boogie Cousins coming back from an Achilles. There's a lot of players that never come back from an Achilles injury, and he's not going to even come back until March probably.
Yeah, but that doesn't. How does that make them worse though? If anything, that just doesn't change anything, because
they lost their rim protector in McGee. They lost Zaza Pachulia, who is annoying, but he obviously gets under the skin and under
everything about his name is annoying.
It is. It really is.
Zaza Pachulia.
Yeah, and you kind of look like a foot a little bit, but but anyway, those two guys, losing those two guys, and then getting a guy who is your next guy, and Boogie Cousins is known to be a clubhouse cancer.
Yes,
he has gotten rid of more coaches because of his antics, and he has.
We all know that.
The teams that he's gone to have gotten worse. So I think it's going to be different with the Warriors because he's obviously coming in to try and win a championship. But when you have like a messed up mind like him, you don't know what you're going to get day to day.
Here's the difference, though. Whereas those other teams before might have needed him, especially because of his offensive production, the Warriors don't. If he's a cancer, they'll cut him. He'll be gone. Kerr won't deal with it, and he won't cost Steve Kerr his job. This guy is going in there, but he's going in there, and he's the one under the microscope. No, none of the Warriors are going to
need him in the middle to be a rim protector in the playoffs.
Yes, in the playoffs, but
and
you know what?
They don't have that right now unless they're planning on moving Durant to the middle.
But if you're him, you know this is absolutely your best shot at getting a championship. And also, you have to know if you're him, with his reputation, you have to know that either you better get along or you're going to be gone. It's just because it is that simple. Because they're not paying him a ton of money.
I don't know.
He's playing for $5 million a year.
Yeah.
He has no job security at all, in my opinion. If he pulls any of his crap, he's gone.
Well, that's even if he comes back, because I mean, like I said, the Achilles that's a tough injury to come back from. We'll see how it plays out. I know that he was a really good player, but he also has really destroyed a lot of, none of his teams have gotten better when they added him. Like the New Orleans is it the Pelicans? They actually got worse when they added him, and that just goes to show that he can do that much damage to your clubhouse. And yeah, they could just get rid of him, but they need that guy in the middle.
I do think, though, that of all the teams, this probably was the best fit for him because there's low risk involved for the Warriors. If you're looking at it from the team perspective,
I think it's high risk, high reward.
I think it's low risk, high reward from the Warriors' perspective because I think they could just shed him without even blinking.
No,
and I still think they're in the NBA Finals because I think they can find somebody to do that. I think
they almost didn't get there last year, and that was with a rim protector.
That's true. But again, they're 3-time champions, and I'm all about to be the man. You got to beat the man. So until I see it, I'm just not going to believe it. I still think that team. But again, I think the incentive for him to play and do well is very high because he only signed a 1-year deal, and he's obviously looking for a big contract after this.
Right.
So the incentive for him to get along and go along is 100% there.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get ready to move on to the next topic.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bri Man.
Oh, yeah, we got some football. Unfortunately, we have some football.
This does not even seem worthy of playing that glorious music.
But it's the NFL, and that's the NFL has more of this stuff happen than any other.
The NFL stands for not for long, and it may be not for long for Shady. So what an appropriate nickname for him right now.
So you brought this topic up to me. I had actually read some stuff about it yesterday, and LeSean McCoy was coming out and saying how he thought that this was total garbage. He hadn't had any
interaction
with his ex for months. So there's no way that he was a part of this. Well, you tell me the story that you had told me before we started the show.
It looks like that this very strange story has already taken an even stranger turn. So just as a quick background, the story goes, LeSean McCoy's ex-girlfriend, Delisha Corden, was attacked in her home at 3:18 a.m. She was robbed and beaten. And there was also another woman there who sustained minor injuries. But she was robbed and beaten. And the story goes that it was apparently a very interactive crime because the assailant went in and asked for specific items from her, specifically jewelry. I guess that was jewelry that LeSean McCoy had purchased for her when they were still in a relationship. So now the story is that McCoy, of course, has claimed, well, I was nowhere near there.
Right.
He was in, I think, Miami because I think that's where he lives. Does he live in Miami? I don't know. I think he lives in Miami. But anyways, he was in Miami apparently, and so he was, this took place in Georgia. So it would have been something like a 10-hour drive. Now, he could have hopped a flight, except his alibi, I guess, checks out as far as where he was at the time. But the story now is that McCoy paid this assailant to rob the house, or hired the assailant to rob the house, get his jewelry back, And so here's a quote. This is from the attorney, I think Corden's attorney. The assailant demanded specific items of jewelry that had been previously gifted to Miss Corden by Mr. McCoy, which Mr. McCoy had requested back on many occasions. In fact, after Miss Corden refused to return her jewelry gifts to Mr. McCoy, he would often suggest to Miss Corden that she could be robbed because the jewelry was expensive. I mean, it's kind of like when OJ wrote the book If I Did It, except this is McCoy basically telling you, I'm going to hire someone to rob you and beat you to a pulp. I don't know if the pictures were very graphic and very disturbing. She was beaten very badly. Yeah. And then in the wake of this, Corden also has claimed that not only has this incident now taken place, but apparently she claimed that, now again, this is all, this is all accusation at this point, but she is claiming that he beat his child, beat his dog to the point of kidney failure, and as a little cherry on top, he was taking PEDs for years. That one I'm not so sure about. I feel like he would have probably failed multiple drug tests, let's be honest. I'm sure Shady McCoy, just like everybody else in the NFL, is good. But you know what? We all know that these guys get these cosmetic drugs that can pass drug tests. But look, we are, although it does sound silly to say, we certainly are in a innocent until guilty until proven innocent society here, even though it really probably goes the other way around, because in our heads, a lot of us, especially with the circumstances of how this seems to be playing out, are probably thinking, yeah, he probably hired this guy. And you know what? If he did, it seems like those other things might be true too. Because if he's willing to hire someone to beat the crap out of his girlfriend to get jewelry that he had given to her when they were in a relationship, it seems plausible that he probably took drugs, probably beat his kid, and probably beat his dog to the point of kidney failure. So Shady McCoy, that nickname doesn't really maybe do him justice right now if any of this turns out to be true.
Yeah, this is really bad. I mean, this is bad for him, obviously, his legacy. This is obviously bad for the NFL because this seems to happen quite often in the NFL. It's bad for the Buffalo Bills. There's just so much bad about this. And, of course, if this actually happened, it's just disgusting. Like, this is absolutely disgusting. Yeah. And he not only does he need to be, kicked out of the league if this is, in fact, true, but he also needs to be thrown in jail.
This
is bad.
I mean, that's criminal.
Bad. I mean, and this is something that, he's such a lovable player because everybody kind of likes him, likes his mentality, but this is next level horrible. This is just terrible.
It's like a horror story. Here's the thing, and again, too, right or wrong, if it turns out that this part of it is true, that he hired this man to invade the home, beat her, get the jewelry, you have to, whether you want to or not, you almost have to assume that the other three accusations are true.
Yeah.
Because then he's a criminal, and like a really bad criminal too. I mean, hiring someone to break into a home of your ex-girlfriend to get jewelry back.
That's like something that you would see on that's like something you would see on TV.
CSI or something.
Yeah, or any of those shows,
Criminal Minds. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe not Criminal Minds. They focus a little more on serial killers, but whatever. I mean, this is still pretty next level stuff as far as criminal activity goes.
It's like watching watching Lethal Weapon or something like that, where they're going after the guy who that's been accused, and it's the football player, and they just have all this stuff kind of going on. It's absolutely insane. All this stuff.
It's a really ugly story. It's a really ugly story, and we hope. My God, I hope none of it's true. Oh, but somebody did it. Somebody robbed the house. Somebody beat her.
Yeah.
The question is LeSean McCoy tied to it? Yeah. But it sounds like if what her attorney said was true, that he made the statement that suggested to her that she could be robbed because the jewelry is expensive. That's really bad. I mean, that's incriminating.
That's so bad. It's almost like, are you really that dumb?
I don't know. You hear so many stories about stupid criminals. I mean, isn't it possible that a football player could be one of them?
Yeah. I mean, we did hear about, Jamal Anderson last year, at the gas station.
Oh, the Dirty Bird himself?
The Dirty Bird himself, yeah. Waving his Dirty Bird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
this is way worse than that. That's just public indecency.
But it's stupidity. When you're stupid, you're stupid. You do stupid stuff.
Right. Dumb is dumb.
And this is just
you can't fix stupid, right?
I guess not. I mean, that's brutally bad. All right, that's pretty much it for our show today. Unfortunately, we have to end on a outgoing thing. I could And it's not really our outgoing music. I could actually just upload the whole thing and we could listen to that on the way out. If you really want it. I know that you love this.
There's a couple things I wanted to bring up on the way out.
Oh, what's that?
We are sports and sorts, right? So
yeah.
I have a little bit of sorts. Some movie stuff. A couple of movie tidbits.
What's that?
Number one, and I texted you about this last night because I'm very excited about this. Mm-hmm. But Joaquin Phoenix is getting his own Joker movie that apparently is it exists outside of the DC extended universe. So DC is giving permission for this movie to be filmed and to take place, but it sounds like it's a Joker origin story. Mm-hmm. But it's taking place outside of the DCEU. Now, I know that's probably kind of makes you shake your head because it's sort of like, wow, DC is just such a mess. They just can't seem to do anything right, and now they're allowing this. But on its own, I will tell you that when I saw it, I was very excited because I think Joaquin Phoenix is an exceptional actor.
Oh, yeah.
And I really think I can see him visually in this role, especially in an origin story, because I suspect that this movie would be very, very dark. And I think that's right up his alley. Just try and remove the whole disaster of what the DC Extended Universe is right now and just try and look at this through a very focused lens and look at this project on its own. I think this movie could be spectacular.
Yeah, I think it could be spectacular too. And unfortunately, that's just going to be another thing that's going to be a little jab into the side of the DCEU because, I mean, I think you also said that Jared Leto was coming out with his own Joker movie.
And he is also, yes. So, this does not impact
You are confusing fans. No matter if it's part of the DCEU or not, you're confusing fans. Because most of the people that go to the movies are not comic book nerds. They don't know that the DCEU is just, the Batman's, versus Superman and Justice League. They still think, that the Green Lantern is all a part of that. They don't know. The most of the people that go to the theater do not know that. They don't go into the details and all the substance that's in there with the stories. There's a lot of people that have no idea what's a part of the MCU.
MCU.
And they all think that X-Men is a part of kind of that. And you just talk about Marvel as Marvel and DC as DC, not. So they're really, I think, they're really screwing themselves. It's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dumb. It's a dumb move, in my opinion. Either get rid of Jared Leto and bring in Joaquin Phoenix. I'd be fine. I think they're both phenomenal actors. But you got to do something. And that is not what you should do. I mean, this is, I guess, their way kind of getting around the origin story with the Joker and bringing in a different Batman. I guess you're going to do that. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
the other small piece of news, this is unfortunate, is that the Indiana Jones 5, which was supposed to come out, I think, originally in 2019, then was pushed to 2020, and now is being pushed to 2021. And the question you have to obviously ask yourself is Harrison Ford going to be with us by the time filming starts? And I don't mean that because he's that old. I mean, yes, he's in his mid-70s. The question really stems from the fact that the guy is like his own worst enemy in terms of accidents. He crashes planes. He breaks his legs on movie set. He literally breaks a leg on a movie set. I mean, you can't make this stuff up with Harrison Ford.
I think they're putting him on some PEDs. They're trying to get him on the Henry Cavill diet, the Thor diet, the Chris Hemsworth diet.
He's in good shape though. He doesn't need to lose weight.
Oh no, they're getting him jacked. They're getting him jacked.
That's going to be disturbing though. A jacked old. I hate that old muscles. I hate old muscles. That's creepy weird to me.
It doesn't look good on Arnold.
It's not a good look.
Or even your man Hogan. He's got a little bit of sag going.
But Hogan has actually put weight on. He's a little more filled out.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the creepy old man muscle look. He's a little bit heavier. I think Sly is a good one. No, Ric Flair's all old and floppy now.
I know.
No,
that's the old man muscles.
I think Sly has got that old man muscle look. He's still, But he also doesn't I haven't seen any movies recently with him though where he's been without his clothes. I think maybe that Rocky Balboa movie, but that was still a few years ago.
Yeah.
He was, but again, it had that weird look to it. I don't think they're trying to do that with Harrison.
I know. I'm just joking. I think they would really try and do that.
I just think it's a question of whether or not he's going to live to see 78. No.
He's getting old, that's for sure.
But on point though, too, because Indiana Jones is my favorite movie character, my favorite fictional character, and I want to see this damn movie.
You have the hat.
I do have the hat. I have the fedora. Yeah, I'll wear it one of these episodes. It'll be tough though with the
Yeah, you'll have to put the headphones underneath.
Yeah, which will really prop the hat up high. But I mean,
you look more like Pharrell.
But the other thing that kind of obsessed me though, it's like I really want this fifth movie because I feel like they really need that redemption after Indy 4, you know?
Yeah.
And this is just like slowing down. So we'll see. But I'm still very excited for it, but now we're like another 3 years out.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for the show today. I'm starving. I am so hungry. I cannot wait to eat. I missed breakfast this morning, so I am absolutely and, something that I actually kind of thought about with food is if you were on a desert island and could have one meal for the rest of your life, what would that meal be? And that's like every single meal, this meal pops up and you have the opportunity to eat it. Is there anything out there that's like that good for you?
Well, here's a couple things. First of all, if I'm on a desert island, and I'm never going to see another human being again, it's just a matter of just me eating food constantly, I don't really think I'm going to care what I look like or what. So, I mean, I may want to eat the worst possible thing just to die sooner, just to be rid of the hell.
Shoveling donuts in your mouth, the donut cheeseburger thing that they have.
I would. But I have some questions though. I have two questions. So like maybe just a one example question.
Okay.
So, let's say I were to choose, cheese, okay? Let's say I wanted cheese for the rest of my life. Would I be able to choose different cheeses, or would it just have to be the same cheese?
Same cheese. Same cheese all the time.
Okay, so say if they if I were to say pizza, it'd have to be the same kind of pizza.
Yes, it would be the same kind, but you could take stuff off of it.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, that's what you get, but you could take stuff off of it, and you can just throw it into the water, or feed the fishes, or maybe get the fishes closer and kill them.
So I could theoretically have a different pizza every day, just depending on what I'm taking off of it.
Right.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to actually go with pizza and have it be like an everything pizza. And then that way, some days could be veggie, some day could be meat, some day could just be cheese. Right. I'll go with a veggie pizza. It's not my favorite food. My favorite food is lobster. But the reason why lobster is my favorite food is because I don't have it very often. If I were to
just go swimming in the ocean and possibly get some lobsters.
Right. So
throw it on the pizza.
We all know I'm not going to go in the ocean because I'll never put on a life jacket again. But
oh, what?
A what? But I'll but I would not go in that. I would not be in that ocean. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the circumstances of how I would end up on that island, because I can tell you if my plane crashed into the water, I'd survive the plane crash but get eaten by a shark on the way swimming to the island. So I'm not really sure how I'm getting to that island. But you'd
be flying with Harrison Ford, and of course you would crash the plane, and you would land.
You would die.
You know what? 6 days and 7 nights is more realistic than you actually thought.
Yeah, except I'm not hooking up with Harrison Ford. I mean, I love him, but it's not good. It's not getting to that level.
No, he wouldn't make it. He's old now. He's too old.
Yeah.
Although he is Indiana Jones, so he probably would make it.
So I have to. So on top of that, I survive, but my favorite actor who I'm with dies.
Yeah, you'd be sad.
Weird.
It's rough.
That's sad. That is sad. Okay, so I'm going with the everything pizza and then just picking different toppings off to have different pizzas everywhere. What about you?
If I was going to do that, I've been going back and forth with this for a long time. I always go back and forth. I think I'm like Whopper because you could take stuff off of it. I'm thinking like BLT because you got a little bit of everything. I'm with you. I would go pizza. I would go pizza, and it would be the everything because you need the nutrients of the vegetables.
Yes.
If you don't have the everything, you're gonna die in like a week because you're gonna have no nutrients whatsoever. Because you're just eating cheese. You're not gonna be able to poop on the island because you're not eating nothing but cheese and bread.
Yeah. Very constipated.
You'd be very constipated.
The funny part about this question is the logistics, right? Because it's like, well, who's making the pizza? Where's it coming from? So it's you, but then there's also this restaurant on the island that's producing the pizza.
It's magic.
Or you're
like,
just
it's
you're
like
just
genie.
giving.
It's like a genie.
It is. It's like a genie. It just pops up like every day you get your pizza.
Yeah. No, 3 times a day.
3 times a day.
Personal
That's a lot of
size.
pizza.
Personal
That's
size pizza.
pizza. Oh, to try and like somewhat keep the weight down, so that when the rescue ship does come, you're not like forklifted off the island. Like you could go under your own weight.
Yeah. Slowly but surely. If you didn't die from a heart attack from all the cheese.
Right. That's what I'm saying. A heart attack. Pizza.
All right, so you can find us on Twitter at Shane and Bri Man. You can find us on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Shane and the Bri Man. You can email us at shaneandthebryman@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Einhornisfinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bri_man.
I remembered my Twitter handle that time.
You did. Good job.
I don't have as much going on now, so it's much better. So, all right, well, that's it for us. We'll be back again Monday. Wait, when are you going away?
No, I won't be here Monday.
You won't be here next Monday, right?
Yes, I'll be at the All-Star game.
Going to the All-Star game. Maybe we can get some little mini videos. Maybe you can send them to me. I can post them on Facebook if you don't want to do it from afar. Yeah.
I'll get some pictures. I'll absolutely send you pictures so that we can get them posted onto the page. Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Maybe something
get a selfie with me and Aaron Judge. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Get an interview.
Did I tell you I had a dream the other night about Aaron Judge? I was telling my wife about this the other day. I had a dream about Aaron Judge that him and I were hanging out and talking, and then I asked him for his autograph, and he said no.
He's like, no, you're part of that
No.
Shane and the Bri Man.
And it was like really awkward after that. Like it was just like really awkward. I'm like, oh, by the way, can I have your autograph? And he's like, no, I can't sign that for you.
Sorry, buddy. All right. We'll talk to you later. See you on Monday. See you guys later.
Stay classy, Planet Globe.
Stay what?
Stay classy, Planet Globe.
You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.